one in particular is one of my funniest. I had a friend, and this is in Southeast East Asia, and he and I and a group of guys, we met together every week and just doing leadership training for ministry. And he was a pastor of a little house church way out of the city. And he said, asked me if I would go with him to visit his village he grew up in. And I said, where is it? Oh, he said, it's just outside of town, where they live. And I said, okay, great. So it's about 3 hours to his house. And anyway, went out there. And when I got there, and I'm driving this old model Land Cruiser, and I get there, and I brought my oldest son went with me. I would try to bring our kids as much as I could on trips. And so I brought my oldest son, and we're there at the house, and here he comes out. And then his wife comes out carrying a big pot. He's carrying a pot. They have a couple of pots of curry and rice coming out. And then out came his mother and their two boys. I thought, okay, we're going to have a full carload. And they put all this curry stuff in the back. It's like a curry soup in the back of the Land Cruiser. And he sat in the front, and Luke sat with some of them, or toward the back. Luke sat in the back with the curry. And we're all filling up the car, and we said, okay, head it on. He goes, okay, just head down it's out this road. So we head out this road. Well, he said it's just outside of town. It was 50 kilometers north, which is in miles, it's like, 35 miles through the jungle, on an ox cart trail. This trail is not even for cars. And so it took us a long time, and we're going out there, and as we're going along, you could smell the curry, and as we'd been traveling for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so, and I started smelling something, and I was like, what is that? That really reeks. And I asked a question, and my son Luke piped up, and he goes, Dad, the boys, they just peed in the floorboard. I'm like, oh no. And my friend apologized. He goes, yeah, I didn't know what to do, and they didn't know what to do. And so we just thought, it's, just rubber mats back there. So they just peed in the floorboard. So now we've got curry sloshing around in the back, and pee where that is made for a really great smell.
I can imagine.
And then we're just maybe 20 minutes out from the village, and we get to this river. And we get to a river, and it's a pretty good river. And going over the river is a bamboo bridge. Well, I'm driving a Land Cruiser, which is 4,000 pounds without anybody in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way. I mean, you can't use this bridge to go across. This is for ox carts and other stuff like that. I mean, this is bamboo, and that's crazy. And I said, man, I don't think we can do this. And so my friend, he gets out, he goes up on the bridge, on the top of it, and he looks, and he kind of stomps his foot, and he jumps up and down, and then he looks at me and gives me a thumbs up like, it's going to be okay, And I'm like, oh, you have no idea. 4,000, but he weighs all of 100 pounds, this little guy. It's like, oh. And so he comes back, and I said, no, this is way too heavy. And he goes, oh, this is so important. The whole village is waiting for us. They've gathered, they're waiting for us to arrive. And I'm like, which is reason why we're carrying 2 big vats of curry.
Yeah.
It's a big meal. So I'm like, oh my, okay. So I back up a little ways, and I thought, okay, the river's not wide. It was only maybe, 20 feet across, 30 feet across. And I thought, if I get enough speed, I can hit that bamboo bridge, and we can fly over, and perhaps it'll carry us, and we'll land on the other side. Because I'm figuring the bridge is going to start collapsing, but maybe it won't collapse all the way, and we'll make it over. So, because coming back, we could go a different route. And so I backed up, and I say, hold on. And we just took off, and I'd forgotten about the curry. But we took off, and we hit that bridge, and man, we were moving, and we got air on the other side. And we made it. The bridge was still standing. So boom, we went over and landed. Curry. Now the curry smells even stronger because it's spilling everywhere. So we're almost to this village, and right before we get into the village, there's like a little bush in the middle of this ox cart trail. And what I didn't realize is hidden in the bush is this stump that's been cut off. So we're almost to the village, and I go over, I mean, you could see the village right there, and I go over this, what I thought was a bush, and hit this stump. The stump tears out the spare tire from underneath our car, just tears it right off. And as I come into the village, our spare tire passes us. just rolling. I'm like, oh, great. No, we don't have a spare tire. So
Nice.
we got the spare tire and got the curry out, put it in the back end. And we got there. The whole village had gathered, and they said, okay, come up. They had a stilt houses. All the houses there are stilt houses. And so we went up into the stilt house, and the elders of the village had all gathered. And I was like, wow, okay. So we go up there, and they wanted to just talk. And so my friend, his idea is, I'm going to share that with them, my testimony of how he had demons. And it was terrible. He was a terror to the village.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the backstory, but he said he was just out of control, and they couldn't control him. And these demons would come, and he would just begin yelling, and it's kind of like the demoniac in the Bible. I mean, they couldn't hold him down. And one day, the local pastor, who I knew from a local house church, prayed, and he said, God, would you give me just 5 minutes with this young man with clear thinking? Just give me 5 minutes with him, and I'm going to share the gospel with him. And so he was walking down the street and saw him, and he said, hey, so-and-so, and he answered. And he goes, oh my goodness, he's thinking, he's coherent. Share the gospel, and he became a follower of Christ. So he shared this whole story with the village leaders, and they were like, wow, that had to be, because they have a lot of struggles with evil spirits and demons there. And so, and then I shared the gospel and drew some diagrams and shared it and all. And when we finished, the elders, the village elders, there's about 10 or 12 of them, they all looked at each other and were shaking their heads. You know, we're speaking in the native tongue. And they just said, we believe this message is from God, and we believe we want to be followers of Jesus. Wow. And I'm like, all of you? And they were all saying, yes, we all want to become followers. And I was like, even my friend, he was like, oh, wow. You know, he thought we'd just have a big meal and maybe share a few times with individuals. And here we are sharing with all the elders. And so he continued to go back there. You know, he lived closer, but he continued to go back there for months and saw a church start.
Wow.
But that was the coolest deal. Funny part of it was about halfway through my friend's testimony, my son Luke climbs up. He was downstairs. He was with the other kids and stuff. He was only like, I don't know, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. He climbs up there and says, Dad, can I come sit up here with you? I said, okay, what's wrong? And he goes, they keep pulling my pants down. I said, what? And he goes, yeah, they keep pulling my pants down to see if I'm white underneath. They've never seen a white person. So I said, yeah, you can come on up here. So that was fun. And what was really amazing is that God knew all that was going to happen. He knew that we'd have curry sloshed, and he knew that the kids would pee in the floorboard. He knew that we'd lose a tire. He knew all of that. But he knew we could do that. And he brought us there because he loved these people, and that village was ready. Mm-hmm. And they heard the testimony of this boy that had grown up there. And that's what was amazing, that God would do so much to bring it all together so that they could hear about the one true God and see them come to Christ. And that just blew my mind that he would do that, you know. He cares about people that most of the world's forgotten about, you know. It's really cool.
That is so cool.